$3.66 annually for that gas. If you look at the next slide, this is kind of what it's not in color, but oh well, okay, some of it is. This is what I pulled, again, I did a 5-year history of your operating revenues, your expenses, and your, and the plus or minus, okay? So in operating revenue in 2013 was $652,829. The operating expenses in was $539,966. This was in 2013. Now somebody may ask, well, why did the expenses go up and why are we seeing this increase in expenses? Part of what we're suggesting to you is the Texas Railroad Commission back in let's say the early 2010-9, basically required the city to make improvements to their gas system. And what happened, my understanding is, I wasn't there then, but my understanding is there was improvements that had to be made or we were going to see fines. I don't know how much the fines were going to be, but I'm sure they weren't cheap. Nonetheless, that's why you see the jump from, I think the council did some work in 2016 with a bond issuance, 2017, and there was some additional work. So you see how the operating expenses jumped from $539,000 to $615,000. So we're required, I believe, to 8% of our, is it 8% of our budget?
Correct.
Has to go to making these repairs on a yearly basis. So you can see why that substantiates, in my opinion, that operating expense from 2013 to 2018 to 2023. You see the continuation of increases. Now, I'll point out a couple of things on 2023. You see that operating revenue has increased from 626 to 742, but you also see the operating expenses increase from 615 to 662,000. That, to make sure we're clear, that excludes, we eliminated a position, I believe in 2023. That excludes that position that we eliminated. So there's currently 3 staff members on the gas side. We currently have 3. We still saw a loss. Now these are unaudited numbers. We still saw a loss. We anticipate seeing a loss of almost $20,000. Now, let me point out one other thing to you, and I know it's a little hard to understand, but this loss does not include the bond issuance for 2016. So whenever we issue debt, what should happen is the utility system that basically generated that debt should pay for a portion of that debt. That's the way it should work. So there was a 2016 bond issuance. This also does not include the 2014, the meters that were purchased in 2014. So there's debt issuances out there, things that we borrowed money on that the system does not support. So that number of $19,000 should be bigger in the negative. So I want to make sure that that's clear, is that we are not, I'm giving you just a summary, right? I'm not getting into, we can get into some details. Primarily, Mr. Snowden would give you, I venture to say he probably inundate you with as much information as you need. But it is something that the council needs to understand, that this system, at the very least, should break even. And we're not. So I want to make sure that's clear. You go to my next slide, Christy. Uh-oh, bro, sure, you messed up. Oh, I thought you scared me. As I mentioned, we lost about 128 customers since 2020. Gas rates have not increased, however, gas expenses have increased, and we anticipate these increases to continue, primarily through cost of goods sold and West Texas Gas and what they're going to charge us for the gas. We're struggling on our end and I had a discussion with the mayor earlier today. We are struggling with regulations from the Texas Railroad Commission. They require a lot of our time. They're coming in to do an audit in January, later this month.
22nd.
And so we spend, the gas folks that we do have spend a lot of time trying to stay in compliance. We have a DIMP program. I don't remember what DIMP stands for, but it is a program that we have to comply with through the Texas Railroad Commission. We're also experiencing expenses of equipment and basic improvements of the gas system. And as I mentioned before, gas rates do not support debt service, which includes the purchase of the 2014 gas meters and projects identified in the 2016 bond. And the recommendation is still the same, council. That from staff standpoint has not changed. That we move forward and hire a consultant who can provide additional analysis on the gas system and consider options for selling the gas system. Again, I'm not saying that we are gonna sell the gas system. I'm just saying that there has to be something's gotta give. That's where I'm at.
Fred, thank you, and council, and looking at that, of course, I asked Fred, what's the number? I mean, as you understand, the gas system should support its debt. And so roughly with the meters that we installed, and again, what we took out of the previous bond, we're looking at about 1.5 million, roughly, without doing a whole lot of analysis. But that over 20 years at 3% would be $100,000. So this system should support $100,000 debt, because that is directly related to the production of, or the providing of gas to our citizens. So it is operating in the red at a pretty heavy number when you throw that in. And then again, just want to emphasize how, I mean, we're down one full employee and the tremendous amount of regulation that keeps coming down the pipe. And the meter expense, which again, when this is ours, these meters are incredibly expensive, and we're looking at a point where, Hector, in the near future, we're gonna have to start replacing some of those.
That's correct, yeah.
And I mean, we're talking astronomical numbers. So I want to bring this forward to the council to continue to look at this. We had a chance to have an analysis to really see what it is. You know, the answer is, and with the trending down of our customer base, I mean, the only option is we raise prices substantially. Now, they're probably due again because we haven't, but again, we need to have some data to base that on. And I mean, I think this is a good start for us to look at this, of where we are, but it's something that we need to identify. Each system, from my perspective, should stand on its own in order to provide that service. And, you know, whether we need to, you know, make a more push to try to get more people signed up to use natural gas versus electricity, I don't know, but we should consider that, because it is definitely something that it is costing us. And so that's what I wanted to address. That's what I want to put on here, just so that we're aware of it and continue to bring it forward until we, you know, can get some more data and make some decisions. But this is not
It's not an
an action item,
But-
just to bring awareness.
But in this discussion there, I think the question, Councilman Yod, and I believe you mentioned you wanted the information to move forward in the direction, whatever that may be. The thing is now you have the information, so I would like some feedback regarding how you would like to proceed, or give me some indication of what we need to, because again, we did bring this to you in July of 2022, and again, we anticipate the concern for revenue works are cutting, and on that end, to the mayor's point, it would be easy to find a way to cut expenses, which means, well, let's cut a staff member, right? Or let's, and I say easy in the sense that you can eliminate it by attrition, but again, we're not doing any favors to ourselves by doing that either. So on that end, we're down to 3 staff on gas, and I just need some feedback from.
I'd like to throw out there, just a thought, council. We're gonna look at some information on the rate study here later in the packet, and it's possible for Mr. Snowden to do a rate study on this, so that we can consider, it's not part of this package, but something like that to give us more data. What rate will we need to charge to include debt service, to include capital expenses and depreciation on the system? Meters is coming, so I'm very much in favor of getting more data so we can make good decisions.
At some point, council, again, to the mayor's point, I understand that data is important, but at some point, and I think to me on that, we've given the information, at some point, a decision has to be. And I think, I get it, there has to be analysis, I understand it, but at some point, if we just did it for data and not doing anything, that's not gonna help either. So, anyway, we can provide the data, what you're saying.
Yeah, Councilwoman?
You know, but the numbers speak for themselves, you know, we're at 20,000, and that's not even counting, you know, the other 2 things that he was talking about. And, you know, it's gonna, you know, it's a make us or break us kind of thing, you
So
know.
what would you like to see?
I personally, I would probably say, you know, that we need to sell.
Councilman Trevino?
So my question is, are you saying that we have enough data to move forward and say, and make a decision to say, are we gonna go to the public and increase it, or are we gonna sell it? Is that what you're saying?
And to the mayor's point, I think it would be, in my opinion, and I don't wanna speak for Mr. Snowden, but I think the increase would be so great, this is my opinion, I don't have the data yet to the mayor's point, but I think the data, the increase would be so great if we ask Mr. Snowden to include this and include what should be paid out of the gas system, that either people will drop out of, more people will drop out of using gas, one, or you'll have a line of people here asking you what you're doing about increasing
Yeah.
gas
If
rates.
it increases, then it will pour down.
Ben, but haven't we
Councilwoman.
been losing money with the gas for years? I mean, I remember first getting on the council and this was like an issue back then. And it's like, they didn't know how we were like losing so much gas, or, I don't remember what exactly it was, but we've been losing money for years.
Well, if you look at the numbers, again, kind of to that, we weren't, I mean, the railroad commission was mandating that we repair our lines and we weren't. And so it was cash flowing, there, it showed about, but we weren't doing the capital improvements that we needed to be doing. But if you remember, when you and I were the council, that was addressed, we said, okay, let's start fixing it, the railroad commission granted us leniency and allowed us to get caught up in that. But now, so looking at that, this where we really haven't, and y'all, this is a minor point too, but what's not addressed here, with, it's normal water, gas, there is some loss. You have a certain percentage of just that loss, so that's not calculated in there as well, so that's another figure in there, but anyway, so, council?
So, Frank, if we were to per se, we move forward with the selling it, okay? What impact do you see as forward for the city?
That ultimately, depending on who you sell it to, they'll determine, to some extent, the council will still have some, but they would determine rates at that point. I say whoever you were to sell it to. Now, keep in mind that, and Bobby can correct me if I'm wrong, you still have to take this to the voters. All we're doing right now would be an analysis, okay, should we or should we not consider, should we not move forward with the sale? I'll give you an example, Divine sold their system not too long ago. And I don't wanna speak for them, but I'm pretty confident that Dilly, Cotulla are having the same problems with the gas system, because it is it's a tough system to maintain and to keep. And primarily, again, when you see a loss of customers, and it's not, we're in a tough spot. What I mean by that is the people that run a gas system, you're in a tough spot in the sense that you have to keep that balance of, do I increase rates and maybe, because it's not a need like water and wastewater for most people. It's, I'll just go and use electric, why do I need to stick with gas? Now, some people then would prefer just to do gas and electricity, right? But it's not a need, if you will, for folks. And I think that's what we're finding is more people are just saying, hey, I just want to pay the power and I don't want to deal with gas anymore. Or it's become too expensive even for them to replace, gas lines. But to that end, it's a delicate balance, and Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong. He'll be on the call to the mayor's, be fair to the mayor. I don't want to speak for Jeff either, but I think it would be a real tough balance of your rates and keeping your customer base. Because again, we're losing customers. We're losing customers right now. We haven't touched the rates, and we're still losing customers. So yeah, it's not easy. And you're in a tough spot. We're in a tough spot as staff. It's not easy for us to make a recommendation like this because I know the potential implications.
We'll just let the voters, yes, the people vote for it.
But we have to do our part to say, hey, we want to sell, and so Fred will need to find the buyers, to kind of get that put together and do that, but I'm very much focused on keeping this on the forefront because it's costing us money.
Yeah, I think I would wanna see, just a bit more data as far as where it would impact the city as far as if we were to sell as we move forward, what would impact on our revenues move forward? Is it gonna make a difference? Is it gonna make a hit? I mean, where do we pick it up from?
On the revenue side, you would generate revenues by selling the rider, but then you would see no more expense. So what I mean by that is you no longer have to, worry, I hate to use the word worry, but you no longer have to have concerns about losing money on a utility system that's not generating money. So it's on the expense side that you would see the benefit if it's something that we're just not, we just don't have the revenue to support the.
I want to add to that, and the liability with that gas system, there's a certain amount of liability that comes with it. You know, Hector, you can attest to the regulation. I mean, we're fixing to go have some employees sit for a week, and it's, there's a lot of liability that goes with it.
Mr. Snowden is on the
Jeff?
phone, he is wanting to speak.
Who's that?
Jeff Snowden, he is on the phone.
Mr. Snowden, can you hear us? Mr. Snowden?
You're on mute. Or maybe not.
Mr. Snowden?
Give us just a minute. Give us just a minute, Jeff.
He's unmuted.
Can't hear you. Hold on just a minute. Technology is great.
Yes.
Um,
You're muted.
Hold on.
Okay. Jeff, shake your head if you can hear us. Yeah, shake your head if you can hear it. Can't hear.
It's on his side, it's not our system.
it's on your, can't hear you.
Okay. All right, well, council, we're gonna go ahead and move on. But we'll continue, we'll address this issue. And, guys, anything else? Hector, would you like to add anything?
Well, one thing we haven't addressed too much is the inflation. Inflation is what's also contributing to some of the expense, on the expense side. I mean, the pricing on material is astronomical.
Testing 1, 2.
There he is.
There you go.
Jeff,
Testing 1, 2.
Jeff, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you hear our discussion?
Yes, I did. I've got a couple of quick comments to make. I'm currently conducting natural gas rate studies for both Carrizo Springs and Cotulla, and I've previously done Dilly's. All 4 of you cities are in the same situation where you have declining customers and increasing costs. And in my mind, if your only options are really to sign an MOU with the other cities and band together, so you have purchasing power on the wholesale gas, and you control that, and then share operating costs. I think either that's the only option, or else consider a sell. That's my thinking on this natural gas question.
Okay. All right. Well, Jeff, we're going to continue to address this and maybe perhaps tie it into some rate studies going on. But thank you very much for that input. Council, you have any questions for Mr. Snowden? All right. Very good. With that, we'll close the presentation on gas and move on to the next item. We're going on to item 9, new business. All these items are action items. 9A. Consider and approval of a resolution by the City Council of the City of Pearsall, Texas, requesting financial assistance from the Texas Water Development Board for the City of Pearsall, Texas, water and wastewater systems, finding that the resolution has been considered pursuant to the laws governing open meetings, and establishing an effective date and other matters in connection therewith. This is an action item. I'm going to call for a motion and a second, and turn the floor over to our city manager. We have a motion by Councilwoman A. Garza, second. Second by Councilwoman Hernandez. Manager, you have the floor.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution that we'd like to move forward with regarding our request for funding from the Texas Water Development Board. I have on the call Stacy Barna and I believe Esther Young and Juan Aguilera. Juan Aguilera, our bond counsel. Esther Young is part of the financial advisory team, and so they're currently helping with this application to the Water Development Board. This funding is for water projects only. Or maybe Juan can correct me. I'll let him speak to that. But you have Juan will discuss the legal framework. The amount we're talking about is $13.2 million, give or take. That's the amount. So let me see, Juan, would you like to speak first on the actual resolution and what it calls for, and then Stacy, you can speak on the project, and Esther, if there's any questions as far as the finance, I'd appreciate y'all, so.
That'll be great. So can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. Mayor Briscoe, council members, I'm happy to be working with the city again, and also I want to show my appreciation or say thank you for allowing us to be able to participate in this very important discussion via Zoom. My presentation is going to be very brief. The Texas Water Development Board requires that the city council or any entity seeking financial assistance adopt a resolution which we have prepared and should have in front of you. And in essence, what you're doing by adopting this resolution is that you're requesting financial assistance from the Water Development Board in an amount not to exceed 14 million. I got that amount from discussions with your financial advisor and your engineer, but notice that it says an amount not to exceed, so it's okay to come under that amount. Also, part of the requirements of